January 27, 2026, a date that will be etched into the annals of history. As the world turns, the seconds tick by with a sense of mounting anticipation, and a collective breath is held across continents. The world is on edge as two seismic events collide, sending shockwaves through governments, markets, and ordinary lives alike. The air is thick with uncertainty, and every headline seems to carry the weight of the moment. In New Delhi, a moment of triumph unfolds. India and the European Union come together to celebrate a historic free trade agreement, a pact that links 2 billion people and promises to reshape the very foundations of global commerce. The atmosphere is electric, filled with hope and the promise of prosperity. This unprecedented partnership stands as a beacon of cooperation in a world that often feels fractured and divided. Leaders from both sides hail the agreement as a new era of collaboration, one that could set a powerful example for others to follow. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Washington, President Trump takes the world stage with a very different message. He escalates his ongoing trade war, announcing a fresh round of tariffs on South Korea, a move widely interpreted as a clear warning shot to both India and the EU, signaling that American interests will not be sidelined. The president's announcement casts a long shadow over the celebrations in New Delhi. What began as a day of optimism is suddenly tinged with anxiety, as leaders realize they are now at the center of a high-stakes confrontation between American protectionism and a bold new Indo-European alliance. Nearly $190 billion in trade now hangs in the balance. As the news reverberates, global markets react with volatility, stock tickers flash red, and traders scramble to make sense of the rapidly shifting landscape. Political tensions rise, and the world's financial centers brace for impact. This is more than a dispute over tariffs. It's a clash of economic philosophies, a battle between open markets and protectionist policies, and a struggle for influence on the world stage. Economists and analysts debate fiercely, each side warning of far-reaching consequences. The rules of international trade are being rewritten before our eyes. New alliances are forming, old certainties are crumbling, and the global order is in flux. Every signature on a trade document, every shift in a trade route, signals a new direction for the world economy. The post-war consensus on free trade, a system that has underpinned decades of growth and stability, is fracturing. In its place, a new era of strategic competition and economic nationalism is emerging, with countries rethinking their alliances and priorities. The world stands at a critical juncture. Decisions made in Washington, New Delhi, and Brussels over the coming days and weeks will shape not just the future of trade, but the very nature of international cooperation for years to come. The outcome is uncertain, and the risks are immense. With so much at stake, every move is scrutinized, every word analyzed, as leaders and citizens alike wonder what tomorrow will bring. The world holds its breath, united in suspense, waiting to see how this dramatic chapter in global history will ultimately unfold. To grasp today's crisis, we must look back. Tensions between the US and India have simmered for years, fueled by President Trump's claims of unfair trade practices and India's high tariffs. In late 2025, the US imposed sweeping 50% tariffs on Indian goods, aiming to force concessions. India responded not with capitulation, but by seeking new partners, most notably, the European Union. After years of stalled negotiations, US pressure pushed India and the EU to finalize a comprehensive free trade agreement. The result, a strategic alliance that directly counters American protectionism. This divergence, US escalation versus Indo-European cooperation, set the stage for today's perfect storm. The conflict was, in hindsight, almost inevitable. Yesterday, President Trump shocked global markets with a move that sent shockwaves through financial centers from New York to Seoul. He abruptly raised tariffs on South Korean goods, hiking them from 15% to a staggering 25%. The announcement came without warning, catching both investors and policymakers off guard. The official reason given by the White House was Seoul's delay in ratifying a long-negotiated trade deal, a move that Washington claims undermines trust and cooperation. But beneath the surface of the real message was clear: comply with US terms or face swift and severe consequences. The administration's tone left little room for doubt. The timing of this escalation was no accident. As details of a major India-EU trade pact began to emerge, the US move served as a pointed warning to both India and the European Union. The US already imposes steep 50% tariffs on $190 billion worth of Indian goods, a policy that has strained relations and complicated negotiations for months. These tariffs are part of a broader strategy to pressure India back to the negotiating table and to remind New Delhi of the costs of defying Washington's trade agenda. Now, with the escalation against South Korea, the message is unmistakable. Even harsher measures could soon be directed at India if it continues to pursue independent trade deals. President Trump's rhetoric has grown more inflammatory, with speeches and tweets framing these trade moves as necessary to protect American jobs and punish those who, in his words, undermine fair trade. The India-EU deal is now being cast by the administration as a betrayal, a direct challenge to U.S. economic leadership, and a threat to the established order of global commerce. This dispute has evolved far beyond economics. It's now a test of loyalty, a contest over alliances, and a struggle for influence that could reshape the future of the global order. The battle lines are drawn, with nations forced to choose sides in a rapidly polarizing world. As uncertainty ripples through markets and capitals, the world braces for what comes next in this escalating trade conflict. As Washington escalates, New Delhi and Brussels finalize a partnership of historic scale. The India-EU Free Trade Agreement, announced on India's Republic Day, creates a unified zone of 2 billion people, nearly a third of global trade. A breakthrough on automotive tariffs will open India's market to European cars, slashing duties from 110% to 10%. This deal is both economic and geopolitical, binding the world's largest democracies in a powerful alliance. Though ratification is pending, political will is strong on both sides. The alliance is a strategic counterweight to China and the unpredictable US. By joining forces, India and the EU are setting their own rules in a turbulent world. A new economic bloc has emerged. The impact of the ongoing trade battle is already sending shockwaves through the US economy, touching nearly every sector and community across the nation. Tariffs, which were originally intended to shield American industries from foreign competition, are now raising costs for both businesses and everyday consumers. Companies are struggling to absorb these expenses, and many are forced to pass them on, fueling inflation and creating widespread supply chain disruptions. From the factory floor to the grocery store, Americans are feeling the pinch as prices climb and uncertainty grows. The US dollar index has dropped noticeably, a clear signal that confidence in America's economic stability is being shaken. Investors and global markets are watching closely, and the dollar's decline is making imports more expensive, further compounding inflationary pressures. In response, investors are fleeing to traditional safe havens like gold and silver, classic signs of anxiety and uncertainty in the financial world. These moves reflect deep concerns about the future direction of the US economy. Meanwhile, the new India-EU trade deal puts US exporters at a significant disadvantage. European firms will soon benefit from lower tariffs in India, while American companies face steep, often prohibitive rates. This shift threatens to erode America's competitive position in one of the world's fastest-growing markets. Over time, this could translate into lost market share, shrinking profits, and ultimately, job losses for US companies. Entire communities that depend on exports may feel the effects as factories close and opportunities dry up. The Federal Reserve now faces mounting pressure as inflation rises and the dollar weakens, creating an unpredictable and volatile economic environment. Policymakers are left with difficult choices as they try to balance growth and stability. Ironically, the very policies designed to strengthen America's economic position may be sowing instability at home, leading to protests, business closures, and growing public frustration. If these trends continue, the US risks losing its economic edge on the global stage, with long-term consequences for growth and prosperity. For now, the fallout is just beginning, and the true cost to America's economy may not be known for years to come. For India, this is a strategic pivot. Rather than retaliate against US tariffs, India accelerated its push for new alliances, culminating in the EU deal. The agreement opens vast new markets, spurring investment and job creation. Indian exports to the US have proven resilient, declining only slightly despite heavy tariffs. The deal is a source of national pride, boosting Prime Minister Modi's image and appealing to India's growing middle class. While some industries face tougher competition, the government bets that overall gains will lift millions. Politically, India asserts its autonomy, refusing to be dictated to by the US or China. The move cements India's role as a key player in a multipolar world. India is shaping its own destiny. The world is watching. The US-India-EU confrontation is redrawing global alliances. America's protectionism is isolating it from traditional allies, creating a vacuum others rush to fill. The India-EU pact is a powerful counterweight to both US and Chinese influence, offering smaller nations a third way. The world is shifting toward multipolarity, with alliances based on shared interests, not history. South Korea, hit by US tariffs, scrambles to appease Washington, while China waits, eyeing new opportunities. The World Trade Organization is sidelined as unilateral deals and tariffs undermine the rules-based order. The India-EU deal, though bilateral, champions open trade in a time of rising barriers. Escalating trade wars threaten global stability. The era of global governance is fading. Great power competition is back. Experts see these events as a fundamental restructuring of the global order. The Trump administration's gamble that US market power can force compliance. The India-EU deal tests this, showing nations can form coalitions to resist American pressure. This weakens Washington's leverage and offers a blueprint for others. Analysts warn the real contest is over technological and regulatory standards, not just trade balances. By alienating partners, the US risks a world split into competing blocs, with different rules for tech and trade. Financial power is shifting east, with capital flowing to Asia's markets. The trade war accelerates this transition, weakening the dollar and US influence. The world emerging from this conflict will be fundamentally different. The long game is underway. The world stands at a crossroads, one path, Trump's vision of tariffs and bilateral deals. The other, the India-EU model of open, multilateral cooperation. The stakes, $190 billion in trade, global power, and the rules of commerce, could not be higher. The choices made now will shape the world for a generation. Will the US double down, or will the new bloc force a change? This is more than economics. It's about the future of our interconnected world. The next move could change everything.